sweeps High Point 2025. Somehow the overall works out in Jett Lawrence's favor again.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Title 24. A little High Point MX National review from this past weekend. It was an epic race. Title 24 presented by NBC Sports. Me and RV coming at you every Monday. Got a great show for you today. We got a guest, Clinton Fowler, the king of the calculator from We Went Fast and Fowler's Facts. He'll be on the show a little bit later on. But that's going to be a lot of fun. He's always good to talk to, and man, he's got some good stats for sure. And then coming off last week's show, RV, as you remember, we were giving him a hard time, so he'll have his ounce of flesh that he can give us. But before we get going and we get to the United Motorsports moment of the week, we got to thank our great sponsors, Boxo, Quadlock, Dunlop, United Motorsports, and Cardo. Cardo, new partner coming on, and so we appreciate you guys. But nevertheless, you had a busy weekend. You were up at Hangtown, had some issues coming back home. You told us off air. Anything exciting other than that?
No, it was a good weekend. Went up for Hangtown Regionals for the boys to try to make their road to Loretta's. We're going to be trying again next year. They didn't show up to ride super well this weekend, but sometimes that happens. We'll keep plugging away at it. But yeah, it was a good, all in all, good weekend. I hadn't been back to Hangtown in a long time.
Really? Have you been back since you raced?
I've been back to watch a couple nationals, but it's only been nationals, right? So when you come in for a Pro Motocross national, everything's set up. But when you come in as an amateur, it's really cool to see the facility. And we had some really good weather. It was like mid to low 90s. So yeah, we did our race in and we jammed home and had a little bit of a truck issue on the way home, but we made it home later than expected. We were supposed to be home around 7, but we got home at 10. But all in all, it was a good weekend, and now I'm off to Mammoth on Thursday.
Yeah, but dude, like we were talking off air, you love you some Mammoth. I mean, so this trip will be a little bit little more enjoyable for you. So that's good though.
Yeah, no, Mammoth's great. Mammoth's awesome, beautiful place. Get to ride some dirt bikes, do some fishing. And it's just the scenery there is rad. So looking forward to heading up that way. But yeah, it was all in all good past weekend.
RV, I was tuned in on Peacock watching the National this weekend at High Point, and pretty good racetrack. I always loved racing there. I know you did as well, but this was a first, I think, in a long time, or maybe first for me that I've seen at a Pro Motocross event. But the United Motorsports moment of the week for sure has to be that red flag. In the last moto, man, Mother Nature was just absolutely dumping, and great to see the 3 of Eli Tomac. Basically led wire to wire. But I tell you, Hunter Lawrence was giving him a challenge there early on. Jett had to play catch up. He eventually ends up winning the overall. But dude, were you surprised when you heard, before you were able to watch the replays, were you surprised about it when you heard that the red flag came out?
Yeah. So obviously we don't red flag for or stop our racing for much at all. But if there's lightning in any of the area, that is obviously something that we need to, address. And that's what I had read. Lightning is what kind of caused that red flag. So other than that, was I surprised? Yes, I was surprised. I'm not surprised it rained at High Point. Typically it's almost every Friday we showed up there when we were racing. It's it would rain on Thursday or Friday or whatever it was coming in. So you never know at High Point what kind of weather you're going to be in for. But it adds that added element to that Pro Motocross, like we all just saw.
It does. Safety first. They had Peltier on the broadcast, and he was explaining to everyone, anytime there's lightning within 8 miles of the event, they have to red flag it. So for all the people who are asking why, and conspiracy theorists of, because Jett got into third and in position to win the overall. No, I mean, listen, dude, I watched lightning strike in my backyard a couple months ago. Everybody saw it on my Instagram, but dude, the tree caught on fire. It was burning for 4 or 5 days. Yeah, lightning is nothing to mess around with.
No, it's
So,
nothing to mess around
right.
with. And RC, we've had it actually happen in the sport a couple times. Guys getting struck by lightning while on their dirt bike. Obviously, we're holding on to a piece of metal.
Yeah, that's
Not
right.
situation. I know it's happened in I think it was a couple years ago at an AM race.
Yeah.
Abbott, for example, I think that guy is I think he's actually been struck twice. I think.
Wow.
In riding in the desert, Arizona monsoon, lightning, boom, happens. So,
Right.
Safety. Got to have the rider safety in the forefront of when a storm rolls in like that, and it happens all the time. So we lucky way more than we have red flags, because I can remember the Unadilla storms rolling in, rain starts, and we just click the moto off to where we finish. So we're very lucky and fortunate in that regard that it doesn't happen more often. But
Right. Yeah, totally. Kind of like, it's just like, think of the times, as many times as they race in inclement weather, and there hasn't been a red flag, for lightning. So yeah, I mean, definitely.
how many outdoors RC have you raced that mid moto has gone to rain, or that had the rain, the weather shifted and boom, it's raining mid moto?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. More times than I liked. That was one of the reasons. So if you're watching Peacock, obviously you saw that it froze up, and the reason that the broadcast froze up at the end and couldn't finish is because of the lightning. The storm that came through is why the broadcast froze. So they were having difficulties with it. So anyhow, we apologize for that. But that's that was interesting. But anything could have happened, but it is what it is. The race was 20 minutes. 20 minutes had already transpired. So they called the race, and I tell you what, dude, it was dumping. But that's the United Motorsports moment of the week. Check out United Motorsports. Go over there, unitedmotorsports.com/title24. Enter your email, get a $15 credit towards your first order. Then you will automatically be entered into their weekly drawing of a $50 credit towards your next purchase. So that'd be pretty cool. We talk about it every week. 450 recap. It's Jett's just good, dude. He's good, but they're keeping him close. AP rode really well. Eli rode well. I think the guy, and I can't remember if we talked about it on the show last week or not, RV, but I think that Hunter, that guy, his box score finally paid off for him, but he's been riding well all season long and just came up a little bit shy of getting that overall. The guy's rolling, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he is. We talked about Jeff's Hunter going. We've talked about a lot. Him going. What was it? 22-0.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing this season, obviously, he coming off of a knee injury, but I would say the gap's closer, right? AP is in these in great motos. Hunter also, Justin Cooper, Jett is on a roll, and he's won majority of the races and majority of the overall so far this season. But it's not a clean sweep like we saw a few years ago, and just like a complete beating on these guys, right? AP we saw it at Colorado, putting moves on it. We saw it at Paula with Eli and Jett, right? So I feel like that gap has been closed a little bit. Jett set that bar a few years ago, very, very high, and everybody from second back knew where they needed to be in these next coming seasons. And I feel like that's what we're seeing. The gap is a little closer than it has been before. So it's produced great racing so far.
Dude, the racing's been epic, and you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, the margin of victory is so close and way less than what it's been. And we've talked about this. You've talked about this on this show before. Like, I feel that the guys, like Jett comes in and raises the bar, then everyone else kind of gets closer, right? Like, they have more room to make up, and they do that. And I think that's what you're seeing is the other guys, the APs, Eli, Hunter, all those guys, Justin Cooper. Dude, they're stepping it up. Even Savacci's up there running well on that quad lock Honda. Like, dude, guys are just stepping up. They're finding the pace that that Jett has had the last couple of years, is what I believe.
Yep. I mean, you can't go and say, "Oh, Jett's going slower," and those guys.
No, hell no.
I think Jett is where he was a few years ago, and I think, like you said, RC, they have bridged that gap. I think it's easier to have that roadmap already built out, knowing where you need to go, knowing where he's better at, how he's jumping the braking bumps, where he's carrying his speed, what he's doing on the motorcycle track, and you have that roadmap to get there. Now it's who's going to take the ball from this point. Is it Jett going to step it up another level? Or are we going to have to wait for Haiden next year, or, in 2 years when he steps in to step up that bar, and everybody's got to chase that?
Yeah, 100%. You're exactly right, dude. Without a doubt. And I like, so I'll give you an example of what you're talking about. One guy for me that I think he helped me excel to another level in my professional career, and that was chasing around Kevin Windham in 1997 at the beginning of the outdoor series. He was on another level, and me just going basically to school every single week, he was the guy that helped me get to that next level. Did you have a guy like that helped you get to the next level early on that you can remember?
So right when I moved up pro, obviously I was teammates with Grant Langston. So a rider that had been racing for a fair amount of years, had fought for championships. So as a young 17-year-old, in my position, like, that was the goal, and I met that goal in the 250 class, and then obviously your sights are set on the 450 class. So I don't know if I actually had anybody directly, other than I would use James, for example. I was in yourself too. Like, we were always trying to figure out how to bridge the gap by maybe not jumping that quad, or jumping something that he was going to do. Where could we make up that time? So he would raise the bar by doing something that maybe we were uncomfortable doing, but we had to make it up somewhere else. He was one of the only ones. Chad was very predictable in a lot like Dunge and a lot of other athletes out there that wasn't going to do anything super, super special, but was just always showed up every weekend.
That's right. For the Boxo breakdown, great question here. I want to hear I want to hear what you have to say. I have my opinion also, but the Boxo breakdown this week is basically, it's a question of why couldn't Eli get Plessinger and J Cooper in Moto 1? Basically, essentially, that cost him the OA. Had he made those late race passes. Like, so your theory, because he caught up from a ways behind, he was buried in the pack, and did a great job. Probably used a lot of effort getting back up there, up to the front. Do you have an idea of maybe why he couldn't make those late race passes to get by these two guys?
I think the pace was high up front, right? Like, Eli coming from behind, I think, working his way through the pack obviously took quite a bit more energy than starting up front, as we all know. And once he made it up to the faster guys, Justin Cooper, as we're watching the replay right here. Is that Jett in front of Justin? Who's in front of Justin?
No, that's Justin Cooper.
Or AP.
Oh,
AP.
Sorry, AP. Sorry, in front of Justin. Sorry,
Yeah. So it's like, if we're watching from the aerial shots right now, it's not like he was all over them. He had sections of the track that he might have been quicker and was catching up, and then So I think you once you get into the latter part of the moto like that, not much can happen. Obviously, he couldn't bridge that gap to actually make the pass, because those guys, the pace that they were, AP and Cooper, were running in front, were just enough. Maybe he didn't feel like he wanted to push it to that next level. Number one, to answer the question, starting position, right? Your opening lap position is the most critical of the 30+2. It really is. We talk about it all the time, and we sound like broken records, but
it's the damn truth.
It totally is the truth. And he had the speed and he caught up, but to get to that next stage and keep going, like that, maybe the track and lines and things like that, it just didn't promote that. Maybe did he get a little tight towards the end of that moto? I mean, you'll never really know, but it's a tough position to be in, because it would have, if he could have bridged that gap and made those passes, that would have been the overall for him.
Yeah, I feel like also, RV, when the tracks do get super ruddy like that, I mean, the guys still move around a lot, right? But it's still it was quite ruddy. and it makes it harder to make those passes when you're on somebody. And the reason that I think it was so hard for him is because, yes, he exerted a lot of energy at the beginning, right? And then you're trying to get up front because you don't want to keep spotting Jett these points, right? So you're like, I wouldn't say panic mode, but you're riding that fine line and trying not to crash. But those guys, like we just talked about it, those guys have stepped up. AP, Cooper, Hunter, they're riding at another level. So those guys are naturally going to be harder to pass than, say, last year. And then you throw the track in when it's ruddy and not being able to go from right to left really quick. That's kind of the effects and the things that you're going to see. And it makes it harder to pass late in the race like that. You saw, like, I think they had 3 laps to go. I know you didn't watch all of the race because you were traveling, but he made a conservative effort to get there and pass Justin. But dude, once he did that and he couldn't make it, dude, it's like he fell back. And I thought he was like doing a reset, but he really wasn't doing a reset. And I think he's like, dude. So,
well, and I think like you said, with the High Point, the way the track develops, it's got a very hard clay base under it, but then also on top of it has some really tacky clay material that is awesome to ride in, but the base of it. So if you are riding we're talking a smidge tight, and you're not just hitting the lines the way you want to hit and ride the track the way that you feel you can ride it, it ends up making you tight. So maybe that was a little bit of Eli's issue, because if you feel just 1% off on that type of track, going that speed, trying to also make passes, also, come through the pack, that's a lot of variables happening all at once. And if you're riding a little bit tight, it makes it very tough.
It's funny you say that, RV, because going back when we were praising Plessinger last week on the show, I saw something on Vital, and he was saying, he's like, dude, I just need to get an ounce more speed so I can be comfortable running that pace, because he's like right on that limit. It's what you're saying. It only takes an ounce to where you go from getting tight to being in that comfort zone. You're exact. That I agree with you. Yeah, dude. It's like, isn't it funny? It's so
at that level.
Dude,
yep. At that level, it's the smallest little things that could just make it click or make it not work. Turn it on or turn it off. And I think that's maybe what we saw from Eli, just maybe being just not as comfortable as he wanted to be, or riding just a little bit tight, couldn't bridge that gap.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Like, you go back, just wrapping up the 450 recap. It is fun watching just how close the battles are and how tight the gaps are this season. I know that Jett is. I mean, he's been incredible, but those guys are right there, and it's fun to watch. Like, I got guys that are just getting into SMX, and they love watching because those guys are so close. A little bit different than what we're seeing in the 250, which brings us to the 250 recap. And this is going to be the Dunlop debate portion of the show. There was some mixed bags this weekend. Talk about Dunlops as far as who was running the scoop, who is running the traditional tire. If it were me, RV, I am going full on traditional tire. I'm going to cut my losses on the start. I'm going to play some defense, get on that inside, hedge my bets. But with how slick and shiny it was, dude, I don't know, man. And relying on that side grip, I'm taking the traditional tire at Mount Morris. What about you?
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. If we're talking when me and you were racing RC, 100%, we would be running, a traditional tire. And obviously, just with the different track conditions, meaning soil compounds in different parts of the track, like you said, the side bite on the scoop tire may not be better. You manage in other areas, but you rely on the start. So that's the chess game that all of these riders play when they go down with all their team managers, their mechanics, everybody involved, is what's our strategy going into each of these motos? Are we putting ourselves hopefully out front off the gate because we're getting the drive out of the start? But you got to remember that starts 30 seconds and you have 30 plus 2 minutes of racing on that tire that you have to manage.
So imagine overall, say you lose a half to a second a lap, because you're running the scoop and you don't have good side bite. Whereas if you get a 5th place start, you can make up those seconds lap after lap after lap. I agree with you. But the 250, old Deegs comes out. No surprise. And I go back to, like, listen, Chance rode phenomenally at Thunder Valley.
Yes,
but
he did.
If you consider, like, I mean, Haiden had a bike issue at the beginning, and on the first moto, he was all over Chance there. So I think second moto, he plays it safe, So now he's, he's saving the bike and he's points racing at Thunder Valley. So I don't think that was his best, for all intents and purposes, and not taking anything away from Chance. And hopefully Chance is all right. But that dude came out and he dominated. Was no surprise. I don't think it has anything to do with last week. I think he's just.
No, I think that Haiden came out to make a statement too. Obviously, Chance.
Oh, you do? You think he did?
I think he came out to stamp that. Yeah, like, obviously, yes, he had a bike issue, Moto 1 at Colorado, and we all know, kind of Hayden's MO, right? He wants to make everybody look as bad as possible. So I think that he came out with a little redemption. I do. I think that he's going to make a statement, meaning he's going to come out and he's going to, and I think the way that the East Coast tracks too, like, I think he likes them. He rides well on all tracks, let's be honest. But yeah, I think the little bit of that was like, dude, I that Colorado weekend got away from me from the bike standpoint. Like, that happened. I'm coming out to show these boys who's boss. I do. I mean, that's what I would do, I think he thought or knew he could or was going to win Colorado. If it
was a fluke last week.
Exactly. Right. Like, he had no control other than himself, which I'm not saying he's the one that, overrode the bike or got it hot or whatever the case may be.
Maybe he did, though. Maybe
he could have, and he totally could have. That's him learning to manage the bike. But if it wasn't him, it was just a malfunction side of it. That takes a little wind out of yourselves. Like, man, I could have won that overall. Also. So I'm going to come out this weekend and show him basically who's boss.
Yep. It was an incredible ride. Just kind of out there doing his thing. I was excited for the second moto. Because Chance was there. I'm like, all right, let's see what Chance has got. And Haiden just kept chipping away. But your boy Kitchen back on the pode again for a 3rd place, rode well. Some of these guys. Hey, another guy that did good is Joe. Dude, he fell that second moto, and I think it was the second moto. Yeah. And he,
6th in Moto 1 and 5th in Moto 2.
Dude, he came back from a long ways. That second moto, or that moto that he fell, like, he was hauling the mail, dude. I'm telling you, he's been good this outdoors.
Yep. Yeah. It's Hector, our producer, says it looks like he fell both motos.
Maybe
tipped over both motos. This is the one that I saw. I did see him coming down the hill here, and then just pops out of that rut.
That was the first moto, because Chance was back there. Yep, that was the first moto, and then the second moto, he fell. Like, it was on the far back section. They turned left, and then there's like two.
Oh, yes,
right here. Watch. This is the second moto. He goes down right behind Tom Vialle. Dude, he got lucky. That I thought that was going to be a gnarlier crash, and what it
could have been a lot worse. Yeah, it came in there and just dropped both wheels into that rut. Almost looks like maybe it grabbed the right foot peg and it unloaded and it kicked him off, and it was in a really weird like floating sensation up to the inside there, and it just put him down on the ground.
Similar to kind of Hunter a little bit. I feel like Joe, his speed, his box score isn't a reflection of how well he's riding, in my opinion.
I would agree. This outdoor season, Joe has definitely, I think, found something. Either just
his bike looks, dude. Those Hondas look. I think they found something. Like, they look. I don't know. They look like
they do look good, and Joe's riding well too. So, he's obviously mentally strong and happy with where he's at right now, because I feel like if he's not, he doesn't ride to his ability, and it seems like right now he's riding to his ability.
Saw Chance doesn't look promising. I think he's getting an MRI. I saw on the Instagrams. And dude, I hope he's okay. I don't know if he fell the last moto or dabbed his foot, but it was the last lap, I believe it was. And they had video of him coming off of the track.
Yeah.
And dude, like he was just shaking his head and pointing at his right knee. And you saw some pictures on there, social media. He couldn't put any weight on it. And it just, I don't know, man. Like you've torn your ACL. He's done his ACL. And it's just like, you know, after you've done it so many times that it ain't good. Like right here, like we're watching him come off the track and then he'll point to his knee and he's shaking his head. It's just, I just hope I hope it's a false feeling that he's getting, but there he goes.
Yeah. Like you said, RC, it's once you've done it once or twice, and just as long as you've dealt with injuries as a racer, you kind of know when something's hurt and when something's not. 9 times out of 10, you're probably right. So it's a bummer. Hopefully we're going to see, like you said, he's going to go back, get an MRI, and then what's to come after that? Are we going to, if there is something, is he going to get tape it up and try to ride through it and finish outdoors? That's another career decision that has to be made on his side. If there is something wrong, if you get it fixed and come back out for Supercross.
Dude, I'm just, for him, I hope not. Cause remember last year,
Similar boat
shows, we're like, dude, just take the time off, go get it fixed. You're not going to win the championship, and then come into 2000 come into this year, right? Come in this year and get the job done. And like, you'll be healthy. You did you got Honda's giving you the chance. They're behind you and backing you is like the perfect situation. I would just hate it for him if it's an ACL. So hopefully MRI comes back. But dude, how about my guy Jalek?
Yeah, he's when we're talking about knee injuries, Chance coming. That's his first race back off an ACL injury. Also,
Jalek was his Achilles.
Oh, Achilles. Sorry. All right. We have a typo right here. But yeah, Achilles, 14th Moto 1, 8th Moto 2. So that's pretty good, especially when you're dealing with any lower extremity issues like that. We'll use a knee, for example, but his was the Achilles tendon, High Point. Very tough track to not dab your foot. Twice you get 2 30+2 minute motos, and what's that, about 15 to 18 laps that you can't, that you don't want to dab your foot. So very, very treacherous conditions to come back from. But yeah, rode well, 14 for 8th and for 10th overall. So not a bad showing for coming off that injury. It's crazy how many people have had that injury in the last few years.
I was having a conversation with someone the other night about this. It's like, it's crazy, like how, like, even in other sports, like, oh, this guy blew out his Achilles, and you wonder, like, is it the technology and the shoes, or the footwear? Is it like, how people are exercising differently? Is it putting more torque on the Achilles? It's bizarre, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How it's like,
yeah, it really is. Because I mean, I think the only one I ever knew about doing it was Eldon tore his Achilles.
He did
30 years ago or whatever it was. Whatever he was doing.
I forgot he did that.
Like it wasn't a very common thing, and boom, here we come. Here we see, like, it seems to be popping up a lot more. So it's interesting. I don't know what the stat is. I don't know why it's happening. Technology has gotten better, especially from a boot standpoint. Mm-hmm. You'd think that wouldn't happen with everything that we tried to wear and do and train and make our muscles and ligaments and everything else strong. Just part of the sport, I guess.
Hey, before we bring in Clinton Fowler and the king of the calculator, like Tom Vialle, where are you at with Tom? And I mean, he had a hell of a weekend. He did great. He rode this weekend like I kind of expect him to ride all the time. 2-time world champ, 2-time Supercross regional champ, and I mean, outdoor is kind of his thing. Like, do you have any thoughts on him? And like, are you surprised? Were you expecting more of rides like this every single weekend from him?
I think from Tom, like what was it, a fourth first moto, second in Moto 2. that's where I really think Tom, his ability, his speed, number one, is kind of where that should be. That second through fourth, but every single weekend, not having bad weekends, the consistency. So I think that's a strong finish for Tom. If 2-3 would be even better. That's kind of where I would, 2-time MXGP champ, like that's second, third, right around there. And if he has just a complete banger weekend, fighting for wins, I don't see him having the speed currently to go Deegan speed at this point. Not right now.
No. I'm with you. Be interesting to see. And he has to make the jump to 450. So now's is going to be his best time to make a run at it. But it's going to be, I'm with you on that. It's going to be tough, but he's sneaky. He's sneaky, dude. Hell, look at, he won the Supercross championship. Who would have thought that, right? So keep your eye on him. Don't sleep on him. But Deegs has got a stranglehold on this 250 class, and let's hope we hear the best. Hoping the best for Chance, dude. That's gonna suck if it's a worse. And good job, Jalik. Without further ado, we gave this man a really hard time last week, or I was giving him a hard time because he's asking these damn questions, RV, that he knows that, number one, I don't have the answer to a lot of things, but like he knows I hate that question. Like, can Jett go all the way? Like, dude, I don't have a crystal ball, but nevertheless, let's welcome in the king of the calculator from We Went Fast and originally Fowler's Facts, Mr. Clinton Fowler.
How's it going, gents?
Yeah, my man.
How are you, Clint?
I'm doing well. Monday morning.
That's right. What, dude, what you been up to? I haven't seen you since Supercross. Have you been doing anything fun?
I mean, still working. Pro Motocross is going. I'm not on summer break here, RC.
Come on now. I'm not all on break. Now I have had some personal trips. There's no doubt about that, but I got to knock out some other housekeeping work, dude. You know the drill.
I'm trying to do the same. I'm getting out on the mountain bike but still got to work. Still got to work through that Pro Motocross season.
That's right. Little man's doing good, I assume.
Yeah, big time, getting big. It's crazy.
That's good. That's good. You going to are you going to Southwick? I know you're a Northeast guy, so
absolutely home race. Can't miss Southwick. KJ would give me a hard time, so I'll be up there listening to the Bostonians go nuts.
I love it. Did you RV? Did you like racing Southwick?
I like going to Southwick. Yeah, it was always that one race a year that was completely different than everything else that we had. Obviously, it's really our only true, call it sand race, but a very it's not bottomless sand. It's actually one of the harder technical tracks to ride because of the base layer of what's there at Southwick is very hard pack. And when you race that track, the bumps are very violent. And it's also pretty high speed. So great place to go and race. And it seems to always kind of, sometimes have some shakeups inside of Pro Motocross because of how much stress it puts on the riders, but also mainly the equipment, right? We can see a lot of bike failures. We've seen that in the past. There at Southwick because of how treacherous the track is on the machines.
Yeah, but did you like racing there? Did you like it?
I liked racing there. Yeah, I didn't mind racing there actually. I wouldn't say it was one of my favorite places to race. But I didn't dislike going to Southwick. I thought I always enjoyed riding in the sand.
Yeah. How about you, Clint? Do you like in your racing days, did you like the Wick?
I mean, I grew up there. I had to race that place, I don't know, 8 to 10 times a year as a kid. It was brutal. Like it just, never.
You didn't, I feel like I want to ask both of you guys this before we get to a killer soundbite from last week. But like, do you feel that if you grow up in the sand, RV, this one's for you first. Do you feel like growing up riding in the sand makes you a better rider overall because sand is harder to ride, or do you not agree with that?
I think it does potentially make you a better rider. I was thinking this on the drive home last night, just from the boys' standpoint, like how can I improve them? I need to get them out to ride in the sand because it is a little bit I don't want to use the word that it's like mud, but you have to ride mud and sand somewhat similar in a lot of areas. You need to carry your speed, right? You need to be standing up. It's very vague feeling, very wishy-washy when you ride in the sand. So, and mud's a lot like that. You know, you're sliding around on the track, and if you don't have the right body positioning, feet right on the foot pegs, it makes mud hard to ride. So sand's a very, very similar, in those ways, very similar, but also completely different. So I think if you do ride in sand, get to ride in sand growing up, I think it does make you potentially a better rider on all conditions.
Yeah, I never realized that, Clinton, like, until probably later in my life. And when I say later in my life, like within the last 10 years, I'm like, all those years of growing up in the sand, living in South Florida, and just, on mini bikes, and then 60s and 80s back then. They weren't 65s and 85s. I truly believe, like, looking back, because you had to keep your speed up and ride fast. Otherwise, the sand would just swallow up the smaller wheels. I think it did help me tremendously. And a lot of guys, like, do you feel the same, Clint, just from your background of racing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't get as far as you guys here, but it's unique, right? You just got to let it go. But I'll also say the other way around, RV. It was great for fitness. You had to hammer through, right? Like, it's just a lot more work. But man, when I would go to a hard pack track, I just hated life. I was like, this stuff is so different, so much harder. It's a different technique. And of course, every track that I had around me to train on was just buried in sand. And so maybe, I guess I just wish I was taking the approach, or we had the option, RV, to take the approach you're doing, where it's like, hey, let me go get some sand. I wanted to go get some hard pack because, man, I couldn't ride hard pack for the life of me.
Yeah, no, that's kind of that's where the sport's gone, right? Like, Ricky, you were Florida based. I was Seattle based area for the longest time, then Southern California as a later mid-teens later, getting ready to turn pro. But what we're seeing today with this, all in the amateur racing, is these kids from 50s. They're chasing all of those different conditions at such a young age. They're getting the hard pack, they're getting the sand, they're getting the mud, they're getting the clay. So they're just a better, well-rounded rider, way sooner than I ever was, and probably ever you were, Ricky, too. Like, as a young rider, they've kind of already seen a lot of these different conditions and dirt conditions. And it builds a better, well-rounded rider earlier.
100%, without a doubt, it does. I think it helped me tremendously. And again, Clint, I'm like you. Like, I kind of looked at it when I was young, thinking, damn, I should be on hard pack, but later on, again, in my life, was when I realized, like, actually, I think it's a little bit better for everything that you guys just talked about, how it helped me in my professional career. But nevertheless, Clint, thanks for coming on and for your time again today, and how this kind of, like, we got to where we are today. Number one, you're a great guy to have on the show. And everything that you bring to the sport and to the broadcast, and with what you do with We Went Fast, and you are the king of the calculator. And last week we spoke a little bit, and you, once in a while, you'll punch in a fan question, and I know what you were doing here. And so, like, we read one of your questions, and anyhow, it was just kind of a topic. And I wouldn't even say that you struck a nerve, but you knew the exact question to ask, because you know how I feel about this. But anyhow, like, I don't think you watched the podcast, but we have a little clip of it. So let's watch this clip, and I want to see what you had to say about it. So roll it. So our statistician, Clinton Fowler, and dude, he knows that I can't stand making predictions like this. I'm not a predictions guy, but he's the stat guy. All right. So Fowler's Facts asks, how far will Jett ride in the all-time ranks? He has the tangibles. Okay. Will that happen? Hell, I don't know. I mean, Clinton, you're the stats guy, bro. I mean, tell us what the stats look like. See, he sent this as a joke to get the reaction that we're giving him right now. I don't, again, I don't have a crystal ball, brother. You're the king of the calculator. So Clinton, you tell us, is he going to do it for sure? 100%.
Actually, Clint,
Who the
next
hell
one.
knows?
We need you to send in if he does this and he keeps up the trajectory that he's on, how many years does he have to race to get to that, with how many race wins? And then we could dissect it even more. So you put that on your plate, Clint. Get that out for next weekend for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you give us some more stats that show us why he's going to do it, and like, is he going to do it?
He's gonna. I knew I could get you guys one.
Oh yeah, you got us. But okay, dude. Like, now okay. So everyone that's listening to Title 24, right? Whether you're watching it or listening to it, like Clint and I and RV once in a while have this conversation, separate. But it's like we have seen so many riders that you thought, oh, dude, for sure this guy's going to break every record, Supercross, outdoors, everything. So like that, like Clint knows, like, I've told him, like, dude, I thought this guy was going to take it to the house, and you just never know. And that's why, like, I'm like, why you asked me that question? Is that why you did that, dude?
I mean, always. It's the great, like, you're pretty humble about the fact that you've won 76 outdoor nationals, right? Like, that's 3 times the amount of RV even lining up in the outdoors, right? Like, we've talked about that, right? Like, yeah, it's the quintessential bench racing conversation. Obviously, Jett's incredible. He's on a pace that's unmatched, even to your numbers, RC, in the beginning of the career. So, yeah, like, A, everybody's asking the question, and then B, I love just giving you a little bit of a hard time, RC, and putting you on the spot for it. And like, you've done what he's attempting to do. RV, you've done what he's attempting to do. So, like, no better than Title 24 guys to comment and chime in on the progression that guy's had so far, right?
Yeah, I think, RV, you hit the nail on the head though last week. I mean, listen, he has everything. He has the qualities that you need to break all the records. We all know that, dude. He's an incredible talent. Love watching him. Love what he brings to the table on the track, for sure. But like RV said last week, is just, there's so many other moving parts, like 2 or 3 years down the line, like anything can happen, as we saw. He's had to sit out last year. So you just never, that's the thing. You just never know that, right? Like, you just never know. And that's why I hate answering that questions. But like, again, there's so many things that can play into the record books. Like you talk about, the beginning of my motocross career in the premier class, they weren't as good as the latter part of my career. So it's almost like reverse. He's doing better at the beginning. Can he maintain that tempo
and maintain it? So, like, Clint, what if he maintains it? How many years would he have to race? How many race wins per year would he have to win? To reach some of those numbers, right? You have 72 Supercross wins from MC, which is I think even harder than outdoors. Potentially, then you have 76 to even match RC. So what does that look like over race wins per year? How many and how many years would he have to race?
Yeah, I mean, look at what we're in right now with Pro Motocross. RC, you've got 76 wins in the premier class. He's at 19 after this weekend, right? 19 of 20 starts, memory serving here. He's got to win every single race for 5 years to catch 76 wins. Like, it's absurd to consider. But then when you look at the rate that he's winning, guys, like, it's incredible. Like, he's on pace, right? But I mean, RV, this is the place, we've talked about this at length. It's like longevity of career. In the outdoors, you only had 26 starts. It kills me. And whenever I look at the numbers, I'm like, man, RV, when you raced, you won.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing I feel like. And I know you've posted the stat because you and I, so RV, you might not know this, but Clinton and I have had this conversation quite a bit. Like, and I'll use MLB for an example. Like, they are big. I feel like they're heavy in winning percentages, right? And that's how they they really judge, a lot of people, in my opinion, judge how good the athlete is in baseball by their win percentage, right? And like for you, dude, your freaking win percentages are unbelievable, right? I mean, like you smoked me. I think you smoked McGrath in Supercross. And is that right, Clint? Or no?
It's on par. Yeah, the win percentage, I wouldn't say smoked you, but the win percentage, when you look at it raw numbers, we talk about MC, we talk about Chad up there. But when we look at win percentage, it really comes down to in Pro Motocross, it's URC, it's RV, and it's Jett at the top. And then it swaps out and you add in McGrath when you get in Stu when you get into the Supercross. So RV, the raw numbers weren't necessarily there because of the longevity, but the percentages surely are. And it makes it awesome for us in the stats space for bench racing. But when it really comes down and I ask that question, to me, it's one of those interesting ones because, I mean, to win that consistently for that long is so darn hard. We look at Eli, we're talking about he's 32 guys, right? And he's and he's getting moto wins still. And he got a Supercross win at San Diego this year. And so just being able to ride a bike like you guys did for as long as Jett needs to catch, to me is one of those, we're going to be asking this question until he does it or doesn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, RV, do you ever have wondered, and I've asked Clinton how you could measure this because they do it like, let's say college football, for example, like strength of schedule. So it's like, okay, this guy's better, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, at the end of the day, listen, dude, you want a crap load of races. I want a crap load of races. We made a great living for ourselves. We're super, super fortunate. Like, I'm stoked. You're stoked. It is what it is, right? We move on down. It's not everything in our life. But like, I would like to see, is there a way, have you ever thought, like, would it be cool to measure like what the strength of schedule was for you, like guys that you raced against? And how does that equate to some of the new guys? Have you ever thought of that, RV, with that stat and how that would play?
No, I haven't. I have not really. No. I look back and I just go back and pull like, how many gate drops I've had, especially for outdoors, because I missed two critical seasons that I think I could have won. I look back and say, it's that woulda, shoulda, coulda. Injuries happen. And I was just fortunate enough and lucky enough to, when I was healthy and when I was on the gate, like there was always somebody, kind of like, I raced Chad hard for a long time. And then it was James for a long time. And there's, everybody has their strengths in different parts of the season, different tracks, and also just the mental strengths of knowing who's going to be on, who's not, who's going to make those mistakes. I know we've talked about it with James, for example, just pressure him a little bit more. And, you don't actually have to make the pass. And 9 times out of 10, that mistake shows itself. So there's all those different things too, that come into play.
How do you measure that, Clint? Like from your standpoint, I mean, you're the expert, and we'll defer to you in this situation. Is it harder to do that? And like what I've asked you many a times compared to like what they do in college ball?
It's actually, you have definitely asked us a couple of times, and we are working on it actively, RC.
Really? I'm like curious, strength of schedule.
Yeah, there's a thing called ELO ratings. This is a little bit on the nerdy side of things, but back in the day, or actually even still now, chess players, when they play against each other, they have a rating, and they have it so you can do it against everybody you play, depending on who you played over history. And so it's a ELO rating. It's a nerdy algorithm calculation. And we're working on that. That'll give us, you can look at the full history of the sport, and it'll give us a relative rating of everybody versus everybody, because it's some way you can see over time, like you raced against the same person, and you can carry that over time and see how your ELO rating goes. So there'll be something in the next, let's just say by the end of the year, we'll have something for us to look at and go at that. We've looked at some initial stuff, and we've got to tweak it to reality. But I mean, frankly, I think you can look at just that. if you want to just get down to the absolute simplest, you just look at win percentage, right? Brock Glover would love this right now, gentlemen. He loves A, he loves stats. B, he loves talking about win percentage just because the sport has shifted so much since the time he was out there kicking ass. But you just look at the win percentage. Take Supercross, right? RV, you've got the best win percentage in Supercross of anybody in the history of the sport at 45%.
That's what I was saying, dude. Like,
That's
I mean,
pretty
that,
good.
that to me is like gnarly.
Yeah.
Like,
And
so
Jett,
it's like,
Jett
okay,
43%.
What is Jett?
Yeah, so here's your top five. RV 45%, Jett is 43%, RC 42%, McGrath 42%, and Stu 41%. So like if we were talking about who's the best ever in Supercross, I think we can look at that and go, you know what, regardless of the number of times you guys lined up, regardless of the injuries and the decades and the error and the bike you were riding, like those win percentages are a very simple, beautiful way of saying, hey, RV's got the top there, right? Maybe didn't have as many starts, but still RV, you've got the top there. And I think that's a great list to debate, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Right. Did you know that, RV, or no?
I didn't know it was 45. I thought it was somewhere around 43 or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't know it was top of the leaderboard currently. So that's kind of cool.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. So anyhow, just like I go to like looking at that stuff, you know, and like that's gnarly, you know, like you won more than any of us considering the amount of times that you lined up, and then you think about the races that you missed because of injury, and same for me. Like 2004, what would my percentages look like and my championships look like if I didn't have to sit out for an ACL? Well, it's my fault. I blew my knee out, you know, like it is what it is, you know, like, but for you, if you didn't get hurt, I mean, but everyone could play that card, right? Everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Achilles heel of the sport is are you healthy? Can you make every round? Can you make every round at 100%? Can you put yourself in a position to win? There's so many moving parts inside of you know, our sport, Supercross, motocross, racing itself, from the athlete side to also the manufacturing side, from the motorcycle side, you know, blowing bikes up and things like that. We saw Southwick. We mentioned Southwick coming up. What was it, 2 years ago? Hunter, his 250F, you know, the Honda, it took a crap on him out there. I think it was Moto 2 at Southwick. You know, boom, right there. Nothing to do with him. Just a bike issue, and it caused him to have to retire himself out of that moto, which is a big problem when you're looking at big picture.
Yeah, dude, big time. One thing, Clint, I don't know if you know this stat, or I don't even know if it's a stat, but I was thinking about it. So like one thing, okay, like wins and championships and all that, but the thing, like you talk about being lucky. All right. We all need a little bit of luck. Yes, you make your own luck. You know that. But what I am more amazed about of my outdoor career, I wouldn't say amazed, but I can't believe it didn't happen more often, is, dude, I only had I had 2 DNFs and 1 DNS. And the one of the DNFs was I didn't finish the moto at Glen Helen when I crashed when me and Stu were racing. You were there, RV.
Yeah.
And then you were in the 250 class, and I banged up my shoulder, so I didn't race the second moto. And then my bike blew up at Southwick. I think that was the first moto, right? Your man Dowdy won. I think that was the first moto. I had a flat tire one time at Broome Tioga, and it was a front flat, and it started to go flat with about a lap and a half to go, and I ended up winning the race still. I don't know. I had a big enough lead I could kind of chill, but I got so lucky. But that to me is like, of all the races that I raced in outdoors, how in the hell does that happen? Like, you talk about stats, like you can't like that just blew my mind when I thought about that, more than like some of the wins and stuff. It's like there's no that's nothing, dude.
Yeah, those are the variables, right? You like, talk about it. Like, you got Jett, who's 3 years into the premier class in his career, and you're like, okay, well, the number of variables that could come into
variables,
play. Yeah, and that's the thing. I was just looking at like starts in Supercross, and I'm thinking he's 21 starts in Supercross. RV, you had 92 starts. RC, you had 115 starts. Like, he's got a quarter of the starts, 20% of the starts that you guys had. He's got to repeat what he's done at 43% for another 80%, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's it's incredible to have that sort of longevity, to stay at the top, to not have the DNFs you're talking about, RC, to not have a front tire flat, which doesn't shock me from Tioga, given the rocks at that place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the place where you guys have lived and breathed this. You guys have kicked ass for your entirety of your careers, from day one to the final day. To do that, we've not seen it, right? We're talking about you two guys. We're talking about MC in Supercross, and he was awesome in motocross as well. And now Jett, like, there's only a few people that can speak with authority that have done it. You guys are it, and he's trying to do that. So it's
I mean, dude, like, that's when you look at it, right, RV? Like, when you look at it from what Clint's saying is like, okay, RV, you have this many wins, this many starts, RC, MC, all you guys, you have this. And then when you start looking at about how long these riders have to go to get to those peak numbers, then you're like, damn, that's like 5 years from now. Think about what could happen 5 years
Well,
from
exactly. Yeah. No, 100. Yeah. And what he's been in it for what, 4 years. So 4 years already, 2 in the 450 ish, and then two in the lights. So yeah, another 5 years. That's, and that's the other thing. When does that's the other thing we haven't even mentioned here is, like, when does he decide to, maybe he still has it from a rider's perspective, but maybe he checks out mentally and it's like, you know what, I did this. I've won everything that I set out to do. Goals are met. Money's in the bank. Checks are cashed. That sometimes can play a part in it too, especially the older you get. And he's still young. He's still, crushing it, but that may flip a switch eventually too, which changes his mentality.
Hey, RV, you mentioned, like, to the mentality piece. We've chatted a little bit before. You've mentioned, we were talking, I think, about Eli Tomac and how long he's been going, and he switched brands, right? Like, at a time where maybe that gave him the energy to keep going, and, like, he needed a new environment and a new place. And do you think, like, in RC, you switched and you made those, and obviously some of that is, there's financially is a smart thing to do, but RC, you lived that switch. Do you think that was valuable for you in RV? Like, do you still think about looking back now and go, man, if I could have stayed racing for 2 or 3 more years, if I could have found the energy versus had the pressure of winning championships, like, that piece feels
I do agree. I agree with that. I agree with, I should have I switched teams. I think I retired basically right as I had turned 27, right out of being 26 into 27, so still really young. I think if I could have made it to, say, 28, another year or 2 years, I think my mentality would have changed also. And I had said this to somebody else the other day too. Every championship that I raced for, other than Trey Kennard, it was an East Coast round or East Coast series. Other than that, pretty much every championship I raced for, I ended up winning. So I think if I would have lost a championship, call it when I was in my peak of racing, and that would have lit a fire too. Like, I didn't not race a championship.
That's scary to think that you would lose a championship, right? Like, when I think of that thought, RV, it scares me because we never really did, right? So you're like,
so like ACL, for example, I got to race Glen Helen round 1. Paula, I think it was, Glen Helen round 1, got my knee fixed after that. So yes, did I start the series? I went 1-1 that day, or ended up with the overall, and then ended up getting my knee fixed. But the trajectory was there. So yes, did I lose the championship because I got hurt? Yes, that is a thing that happened to me, and it was my mistake. But a dogfight to the end of the season and losing is different than losing from round 1 because I tore my ACL and I won the overall, right? So mentally, I'm like, I'll sit here and say mentally, I would have won that season outdoors. I was in a great position to win. I know it was round 1. But I think I could have won. But if I would have raced Dunge or raced James or raced any one of these athletes and straight up lost, really. I mean, I guess my first 2 years, 450, put it that way. My first 2 years, 450. Yes, I raced full seasons, missed a couple races here and there and didn't win. So I guess I'm not 100% correct because I had 2 learning years in the 450 class that were.
But you never you defended all your championships.
But I defended every one of my championships, and I never really lost a championship based on I wasn't good enough. I couldn't beat that guy.
Yeah, me either. And that's like, honestly, just sitting here, and I've never had this thought until right now, talking with you guys, it kind of scares me. Like, I can put myself in that moment. Like, what if I didn't win that Supercross championship in 06? You know, the AMA Supercross championship in Vegas, like down to the wire, basically winner take all, not winner take all, but, you know, I had to beat Reedy. Statistically, you know, he had always got the best of me there. Like, maybe I would have kept racing. You know, like, I know beforehand, I'm like, hey, whether win, lose, or draw, I'm done. I'm only racing part-time in 07, but I don't know. That thought frightens me, and I'm glad I didn't have to live it. But yeah, I don't know. But Clint, it's a tough. I think it's a tough answer, or it's tough to give an answer this day and age where RV, I don't want to speak for you, but where we're at in our lives, and you know, looking back, would another couple of years have been great financially? But dude, of course it would. But I mean, would the pain, misery, risk, what if something would have went wrong? Then we're sitting here today telling you, like, yeah, that was stupid. We should have quit while we were ahead. Stuff like that, I don't really get wrapped around the axle about, you know, like, it's the past, you can't change it, and you move on, and you just, you know, you live your life and be thankful for what you accomplished, you know. But yeah, I mean, looking back, yeah, it would have been cool to race a couple more years, put a few extra bucks in the bank, but you know, that's, you know, those 20 years ago.
Hey, the one that I have to imagine will be motivation for Jett is a guy like Deegan, who's clearly motivated to come up and take the title from Jett. So maybe that will be the motivation for Jett to have the longevity to go win the titles that you guys did and ascend up through there. Maybe Deegan's the one that gives him the motivation, because we know Deegan's motivated by it. So yeah, we'll all benefit from watching those two go at it for sure.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, Clint, we appreciate you coming on Title 24 today. It's good to see your smiling face. I will see you at the SMX playoff rounds. Hopefully I can see you before then. Maybe our paths cross. But you've done a great job. Again, at the beginning, started at Fowler's Facts. Now we went fast. And you're our main guy in the broadcast. You do an incredible job. You are king of the calculator. Diff has coined you as that. You do a great job, and we appreciate your time today, my friend.
Yeah, pumped to come on. It's awesome. And yeah, don't forget to come and check out the we're doing some betting stuff, Stu and I, the Inside Line, if you want to go win some money. I can't bet. RV, you should be able to bet. I don't think you can.
He has a hard card, right? He can't.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You can't do it. Yeah.
I actually don't have a hard card for Pro Motocross currently, so maybe I can.
But isn't it? I think it's the whole SMX
too. I had one for SMX. Yes.
Yeah. You're hosed. Can't do that.
Can't win any money.
That. Well, we appreciate you, Clinton. You guys check out We Went Fast. They have a whole bunch of great stuff on that website. They do a fantastic job, him and Brett Smith. So we appreciate you again. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you at Charlotte.
Yeah. See you then, guys.
All right. Thanks, Clint.
Well, it's always great having Clinton on there. RV's he's fun to play with. He's fun.
Yeah,
he brings a lot to the broadcast, dude. He's a massive help. Especially to our play-by-play guys like Weege and Diff when they're in there in the seat. They man, he's always writing notes. Him and Brett, they do a good job.
They do, yeah. He's always a good guy to talk to. He's always interesting to talk to because it's completely different than my mindset of like he's more of the, like you said, the king of the calculator side, the information side of it all, and we're the racer side of it. So it's always a good banter back and forth, having the racer's mind and the king of the calculators mind.
Dude, you like, is it sitting in like for you? Like you're a bad dude when you think about like what we were talking about him with is the percentages. That's gnarly, bro. That's gnarly.
It's pretty cool to see here. You know, and obviously I've said it on the show multiple times. The older I get, the farther I get down the road, the cooler it is to look back on the career that I had, and currently still holding 45% win
strong,
percentage.
bro.
And I think Jett's at 43, RC you're 42. So you know, it's closing in, but yeah, it's interesting to see if Jett wants to have that, you know, how many records or places he's going to put himself on the top step of the box, how much longer he's going to have to go, and the win percentages he's going to have. It's going to be great for the fans where we sit in our seat. It's going to be great to see. And then you got Haiden coming in next year for outdoors. Obviously he's probably going to have a learning year, but then what happens after that? Right. So, all those are great things from our seat and from the fan seat. Yep,
that's right. So, speaking of Clinton, and we talked a little bit about Southwick, the Pro Motocross Championship, SMX World Championship is off. They get a little reprieve, so the riders got to be stoked. So let's roll the schedule. We're going to show you what is coming on as far as SMX Pro Motocross Championship. The next race will be at the Wick. 3:38, June 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That'll be live on NBC. So great coverage. And then 2 p.m. Eastern coverage continues. The final 3 motos will be live on Peacock. So you'll get to see the first moto there at Southwick. Anytime you can be on the big network, that's great. It'd be good for the sport. Love the growth. And then, of course, one of my favorite races, 4th of July weekend, be Pro Motocross Round 6 at the Redbud National. Moto 1 will be live on Peacock, and then 3 p.m. Eastern, the coverage continues. The 450 Moto 2 will be live on NBC, the big network. Again, another incredible opportunity. And then 4 p.m. Eastern, coverage concludes the 250 Moto 2. That'll be Peacock. So you're going to have to bounce around a little bit, but I'm just happy that we're able to get on the big network, or the series is able to get on the big network RV on a holiday weekend like that. And then IMSA this weekend. If you're a motorhead, check out IMSA on NBC. 11:40 a.m. Eastern time Saturday, the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, LP Building Solutions 120. That'll be live on Peacock. Then 2:15 p.m. Eastern time, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship qualifying at the Glen. That's live on Peacock. And then, of course, the big showdown this Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. It'll be live on NBC, 6 hours at Watkins Glen. The conclusion of the 6 hours at the Glen will be at 3 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. I've raced Watkins Glen a couple times in my NASCAR stuff, RVs, and that's an unbelievable racetrack. So much fun. So check it out there for all you four-wheel fans. NBC is bringing the heat. But as far as bringing the heat, our last topic for the show today is, of course, the quad lock question of the week. Yep. And today's winner is JBX 804. Congratulations, JBX. You bring the question, and here it is. What gave you more confidence going into a race weekend? Having your bike set up spot on, or knowing that you had the fitness to run 10 plus 2? Well, I think it'd be a little more than 10 plus 2. But what gave you what gave you the confidence? What made you come into the week RV firing? Great question.
Well, I have 2 different scenarios to bring up. I think it was to the 2011 bike. Fitness was all there for me personally. We struggled with the bike outdoors all year until Unadilla. Fitness was there, but I couldn't get past the 20-minute mark with the speed and the pace that I needed to have. So I fought all season there, coming in, knowing that the fitness was there, knowing that it wasn't me, but it was the motorcycle that season, until we ended up going to Unadilla, the homologation rule, which is 200 bikes or 250 bikes, either in showroom floors or in warehouses. For the current new model coming out, I was able to switch frames basically, because that we were able to do that. And boom, overnight I got that much better and went 1-1 on the season. Now the other side of it, flip side of that coin is I've raced a lot of seasons too where the bike had no issue, and it comes down to you as physically being ready. So I think it goes hand in hand. I don't think you can, if you're dealing with a little problem, you got to ride through it. But if it's a big problem, you got to fix the problem. So, I think it's a little bit of both. You got to have number one, you have to have the fitness, because if you don't have the fitness, even if you're riding the best motorcycle on the track, you're not going to be able to make the 30+2 in the heat in the way the tracks are. You're not going to do it, even if you're riding the best motorcycle on the track. So I would say fitness is number one, and you got to have the bike within that ballpark where you're able to ride it the way you need to ride it.
Yeah, for me, personally, going into a weekend RV, and what gave me the confidence of knowing and feeling like I had a great opportunity to win. And JBX 804, love this question. For me, it was how my week went in practice. And if I was able to do all of my stuff on the track, majority of the time, I would say 99% of the time, I was able to do all the off track training and preparation, but it was the on track for me, getting my 3 days a weekend, getting my motos in, getting my corner practice in, a couple starts here and there and some sprints. If I had a good week on the bike and I was able to get the amount of volume in that I had planned on getting, that gave me the mental confidence, knowing that I did everything that I could possibly do, that I was going to be 100%. And I was giving myself the best opportunity to win. So that's how I went into the weekends, and that's what gave me the confidence, is knowing that I got everything then that I needed to get in. Outside of the bikes, RV, like setup and everything like that, I was always relatively pretty confident in my setup that my bike was good enough to win. It's just me executing, basically. So,
and that comes down to a lot of it. Like that's a lot of these riders. You're never going to have that perfect setup. Like I said, if it's way off, then you got to try to fix it. But every one of these riders are dealing with something a little bit here and there. So you got to fight through it. You really do.
No, you just got, some weekends are going to be better than others. And I think also knowing, RV, you were great at this, is knowing, like, where your bikes work well and where maybe they don't work so well, and adjusting to that, and knowing where you need to be better because it doesn't handle at that track like it does at other tracks. I did that a lot also,
Yep. No, for sure. Every one of these motorcycles do something really good here and maybe not so great over there. Right. So really knowing the platform that you're on and where you can utilize that utilize the strengths and and manage where it's maybe not as good. Yeah,
that's right. Well, congratulations, JBX 804. We appreciate your loyalty, being a fan of Title 24 and RV and I. Slide into the DM if JH already hasn't gotten you in contact with Quadlock. Check out Quadlock Case. To all you viewers and listeners, if you haven't, they make incredible product. They'll get you some stuff and you will be stoked. So thanks again and congratulations. Clinton Fowler, thanks again for coming on. That was a lot of fun, right, RV? I had a good time. We don't always
always love having Clint on.
That's right. I'm gonna dude, you had a late night. You need to go rest up, and then you got a freaking, so you went, like, what's your packing schedule like?
So I gotta do a little bit of wash a bike today, kind of clean up the rig a little bit, and then tomorrow take the boys riding, and then Wednesday pack completely to leave Thursday morning, and then I practice Friday for myself, race Saturday, Sunday. The boys practice Monday, race Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we're back home. So busy schedule. Yeah, no, it'll be good. JG's coming for me, so I gotta.
Is he?
Yeah,
I saw on his Instagram he was out there.
Oh yeah. We're the 30+ Pro. We're gonna have some good battles. I think it'll be good. He's good at Mammoth. I think I'm pretty good at Mammoth. Got to get off that concrete gate though. Haven't started on a concrete gate in a long time.
I was gonna ask you, dude. Yeah, I was gonna ask you. You're gonna throw some stuff on your tire, dude.
I need some of that. Right? Yeah, I need some of that stuff they use at the drag strip. lay it on top of that concrete pad.
That's right. All right, dude. Well, I enjoyed it. Good luck. Be safe up there. Have fun. Hopefully the boys do good. And we appreciate everybody, all of our great partners, Boxo, Quadlock, Dunlop, United Motorsports, Cardo. Remember, you can check us out. The audio version is on all your favorite podcast applications. And of course, we're on demand on Peacock and Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page. You want to watch us there. And we appreciate you guys. And that's it for RV and I, and we will see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.